Hello everyone, it's Mr. Kiyomi. Today we're going to talk about factoring trinomials when the leading coefficient is not equal to 1 using guess and check. Now remember when this number in the front, this leading coefficient was 1, it was very easy to factor. When there was a 1 here or nothing here, x squared plus bx plus c was easy to factor because there weren't so many choices. But we're going to look at factoring when the leading coefficient is not 1, when there's something here in the front and we have more than one choice for that first term. Okay, so this method is using guess and check. And we'll learn another method later, which I call the X factor. But I really want you to try this guess and check method, even if you see other videos on the internet, on YouTube, about, oh, it's so much easier to do it this way. I really want you to try this first because of the logic that's involved. And you really need to develop that logic to become a good mathematician. And later on, I'll show you another method. But this is a real good exercise for your mind. Okay, so because this has a 4 in front, there's going to be more than one choice in the front. The front of this binomial could be 1x times 4x, because 1x times 4x would be 4x squared. But there's another choice that also works, and that would be 2x times 2x. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. So this might work, or this might work, depending on these other numbers. Okay, so now we have to think, how are we going to get a 15 at the end of the problem? How does my constant come out to 15? So one choice might be 1 times 15, or it might be 15 times 1. And you're going to have to try both of them because this number in the front is different. So this is 1x and 4x. Do we want the 15 times the 1? Or do we want the 15 times the 4? On both of these problems, the front's going to be the same and the back's going to be the same. The thing we have to concern ourselves with is the middle term, the 16x. So that's what we're worried about. So 1 and 15 or 15 and 1, but 15 can also be the product of 3 times 5 or 5 times 3. Okay? But do we want the 5 times the 1 or do we want the 5 times the 4? So all of these will give us a different middle term. So we're going to have to check them all. Okay, so the product is positive 15, which means both numbers are the same. They're both negative or they're both positive. Because my sum in the middle is positive, I'm going to make both numbers positive, 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 all the way down. A positive times a positive is positive. A positive plus a positive is positive. So in all of these choices, the front will come out to 4x squared. 1x times 4x is 4x squared, 4x squared, 4x squared, 4x squared. And the back, the constant, is all 15. 1 times 15, 15 times 1, 3 times 5, 5 times 3. So the only thing we're concerned about is we're trying to get the middle term to come out to 16x. So we only have to do the outer and the inner when we use FOIL, first, outer, inner, last. We just have to go outer, inner to see if we can get a 16. So let's go outside. 1x times 15, that's 15x. And 4x, that would come out to 19x. That would be 1x and 60x. That's going to be 61x. That is 5 and 12, 5x and 12x, 17x. That comes out to 3x and 20x, 23x, 23x. None of these came out to 16x, which means that this does not factor into 1x times 4x. It's going to be 2x times 2x. If anything, maybe the trinomial is not factorable. That's always an option. Maybe it doesn't factor. But let's try 2x and 2x. So to get this 15, it's going to be 1 times 15. But because these are the same, we don't have to try 15 and 1, because this will be 30 and 2. If I put a 15 there and a 1 there, it'll be 30 and 2. So we don't have to try it twice because these numbers in the front are the same. So it's either 2x times plus 1 times 2x plus 15, or it might be the other one where we have 2x plus 3 and 2x plus 5. Okay, let's try to get this 16x in the middle. So that's 2x times 15 is 30x. 1 times 2x is 2x. So 30 and 2, 32x. That's not it. That's 10. And that is 6. 10 and 6 is 16. That'll be 16x. And that is it. So 4x squared plus 16x plus 15 will factor into this. Okay? So I factored the trinomial into the product of two binomials using guess and check. Let's try another one. I would like you to try this one. The problem is 3x squared minus 13x plus 12. Go ahead and hit pause. Give that one a try. And then start when you're done on this problem. Okay, so hopefully you pressed pause and tried this. Let's go ahead and go through the possibilities for this. Well, even though my leading coefficient is not 1, there's not many choices for this. Luckily, it's only going to be 1 times 3. 1x times 3x comes out to 3x squared. And 3x times 1x will be the same thing because I'm going to switch the back numbers around. I don't need to switch these front numbers around. So it's always going to be this. Now, this number in the back, it's got a lot of choices. It could be 1 times 12. It could also be 12 times 1. Maybe it's 2 times 6 or 6 times 2. Or maybe it's 3 times 4 or 4 times 3. All these are possible outcomes, so we're going to have to check them all. And remember that we're concentrating on the middle term. The middle term is negative 13x. The front term is going to be the same in all of these. 1x times 3x is going to be 3x squared. The last term is going to be 12 in all of these. 1 times 12 times 12 times 1, 2 times 6, 6 times 2, 3 times 4, 4 times 3 all come out to 12. Now, I have a positive product. Positive 12 means both numbers are positive or both numbers are negative, because a negative times a negative is positive, positive times a positive is positive. Because my sum is negative, that means my outer and my inner add up to negative 13x, make both numbers negative, because a negative times a negative is positive, but a negative plus a negative is negative. So both numbers are negative in these problems here. So we're just going to try to get a negative 13x by checking the outer and the inner terms. 1x times negative 12x, that's 1x times negative 12 is negative 12x, and negative 3x is negative 15x. That's negative x and negative 36x, negative 37x. That is negative 6 and negative 6, negative 12x. That is negative 2 and negative 18, negative 20x. Negative 3 and negative 9, negative 13. Hey, we can stop there. We don't even have to do the last one because that is it. That's the one we wanted. So this is the factorization of this trinomial. We factored the trinomial into the product of two binomials. Okay, let's try one more problem using guess and check. And that is this problem right here. Okay, 6x squared minus 5x minus 21. Go ahead and hit pause. Try that problem. And when you're done, unpause it. Okay, so hopefully you were able to get an answer for this. This is going to be a little bit more difficult because of the 6 in the front. 6 in the front means we have to try 1x times 6x or 2x times 3x. So we're going to have a lot of choices for 1x times 6x or 2x times 3x. 21. Could it be 1 times 21 or 21 times 1? Maybe it's 3 times 7 or 7 times 3. And we're going to put in the front, 1x in the front, 6x in the back. What goes in the middle? Negative 21 is my product, which means one of the numbers is negative and the other one's positive. And the middle term is negative 5x, which means that we have to have more negatives than positives. So the larger number has to be negative. So let's take a look. This is 21 times 1, that's 21. 1 times 6 is 6. I want this number to be negative and this number to be positive. Okay? On the outside, that's a 1. On the inside, that is 126. That's really big. Let's make that big number negative and the little number positive. That is going to be 7, and that's going to be 18. So the 18 has to be negative, and the 7 has to be positive. And that is 3, and that is 42. 42 is negative, 3 is positive. Okay, so hopefully one of these will come out to negative 5x. Let's go ahead and try these. Negative 21 times 1 is negative 21, and positive 6x, that is negative 15x. Positive 1 and negative 126 is negative 125x. 7x and negative 18x. Wait a minute. Negative 18 and positive 7 is negative 11x. And this is going to be 3. That's going to be negative 42, negative 39x. We needed a negative 5x. None of them were negative 5x. Okay, which means that is not correct. So what I'm going to do is try to factor these by 2x and 3x. Oh, by the way, I forgot a very important point in all these problems is before I try to factor this, always look for a GCF. Always try to factor a GCF out of all these problems because if a GCF factors out of the trinomial, it makes the problem so much easier. And if you can get a leading coefficient that is 1, then it's a super easy problem. So I forgot to mention that always check the trinomial to see if you can factor out a GCF. Okay, so now let's try 2x and 3x. So we can try 1 times 21. We could try 21 times 1. We could also go 3 times 7 or 7 times 3. Okay, let's see. So we need our middle coefficient, our middle term to come out to negative 5. So the big one has to be negative and the little one small, positive. So 2 times 21, that's 42. And 1 times 3 is 3. So I want this to be negative and that to be positive. So the big one's negative and the little one's positive. Okay, so that is 2 on the outside, 63 on the inside. I want this to be negative. So I'll put a negative there and a positive there. On the outside, that's 14. On the inside, it's 9. So I want the outside one negative and the inside one positive. On the outside, that is going to be 6 and 21. So this one has to be negative, and that one has to be positive. Okay, let's try these and try to get our negative 5x. So let's see, that's going to be 42, negative 42, and positive 3, which is negative 39x. That is going to be a positive 2x and a negative 63, which is negative 61x, negative 14 and positive 9. Negative 14x and positive 9x add up to negative 5x. And that's what we wanted. We wanted that negative 5x. So this is it. We don't even have to do the last one. We factored the trinomial into the product of two binomials. Okay, so that's how you factor trinomials using guess and check. And like I said before, I really want you to stick with guess and check just for the practice of the logic. I know there's other ways to do them, and those other ways are good when you have a lot of choices, like this leading coefficient is 8, or you have a 24 here as a constant. You're going to have so many choices, it's going to take you forever. So I'm going to show you how to use the X factor later on. But when the numbers aren't so bad, I'd really like you to use logic to factor trinomials into the product of two binomials. Okay, so hang in there, don't give up. Keep working hard, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.